Okay, go ahead.
It's information that has been word of mouth through people. My grandfather was IBEW in the business, in the union, high up in the state of West Virginia in the 50s, and I learned a lot of what I do as an organizer from him. What I find very, very interesting is that you have actually manifested some of the ideas that he used to talk to me about when I was in my early 20s about the way this thing is set up, the system, the machine.
And that's when people have to learn this as kids. And that's the only way we're going to solve it, really.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, that's why it's like taking me a lot longer to get the definitions. I really got to get my mind wrapped around. And I was also expressing to Bento on a chat with Skype that in order to clearly and efficiently transfer this information in a common way to lay people, I need to be able to process it myself to be effective, but I want to create the urgency so that this can become more, the proclivity of it to move forward would move faster with the sense of urgency, with the ability to explain it. I mean, that's, for me, as an organizer, that's what I look at. How do I disperse the information?
But it's good that you got introduced to it at an early age.
Yeah. Well, it gives me chills. I mean, just like right now, I'm feeling just the rush of the spirit, because I guess only God could have kept me from it. But I think it also foreordained that the recall of some of the old timers talking about the things the way they did, it just all parallels. And it's almost like coming home. It's like, he talks about the remembering. It's a beautiful thing. I'm very appreciative of the group. I'm very appreciative of all the work y'all do. You don't hear from me much, but I'm there. I'm here every day.
Well, people used to be much more aware of this scam than we are now.
Absolutely.
I like the phrase that Naomi Klein uses, that we have become the United States of amnesia.
This is so true. And grandfather said the same thing. We actually, knew. We knew.
Yeah, it's a shame that people just can't read the Bible for what it really is and understand what's really going on here. People don't understand that basically 3 wise men came to see Jesus when he was born. They gave him frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Well, what happened to that frankincense, myrrh, and gold? Well, the next stage after his birth was that he went to the temple to be presented. But he wasn't being presented. He was presenting his inheritance to be deposited into the temple. That's why he went to the temple when he was 12 years old, to gain access to his estate that was on deposit. He was supposed to get it out at 20, but he didn't. It took him until he was 33 before he was able to pull it out. So don't think that all these people knew everything right off the bat and that it was an easy task. No. Once you put it into the hands of the deceivers, it's very hard to get it out of their possession.
Well,
Isaiah, Isaiah and Jacob, or whatever, whichever one, the mother brought the one younger child into the father and put fur on his arm so that the father would think that he was giving the blessing to the firstborn, to the real born, but he was depositing it with the fiction.
Nice, very nice analogy.
Yeah, and basically what did we do? We've got a certificate of live birth that created a dead fiction, a still birth, a grantee, a fraudulent entity that is perpetrating a fraud. Okay? He's perpetrating a fraud upon us with a fictitious name, all capital. A name selected by a person for perpetrating a fraud involving the employment of commercial paper without intent that it represent any person, notwithstanding there is a person in the community who bears that name. Fictitious name. They set up a fraudulent grantee. And taken our treaty assets away from us. Our treaty is now on deposit under this fictitious name. We're at the right door. We just have to keep hammering them and let them know that we're alive.
Absolutely. It's what they use against us.
The only thing you can do is you just keep hammering them. Sooner or later, they will get tired and basically let us out. The walls of Jericho. How many days did they walk around? 7 days, I think it was, tooting their horn. And then the walls of Jericho come tumbling down. If people get turned off by me referencing the Bible, I'm sorry, but that is not a religious book. It is a book of law. And you better get used to it.
Well,
because
then it's
that's
also
what
how
all
we
these
change
other
it.
laws are founded upon is the Bible.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be a law book.
It always has been a law book.
Yeah.
It even
But everybody
Jesus said
thinks
he
it's a
changed his
religious
computer
book.
law.
Everybody thinks it's a religious book, and they've all got their own stupid-ass religions that they're all running around with, fighting wars and everything else. More people have been killed in the name of religion than anything else. Religion is just a deceptive word.
Well, Grandfather told me about that, too. Matter of fact, he said they didn't know that they could read the Bible themselves. That's what Grandfather said.
Well, the Catholic Church used to prohibit anybody owning one and reading it.
Yeah, they burned most of the damn things, and then they rewrote it into their own items. Okay? But the Jews, not the Hebrews, but Jews, basically started rewriting the Bible back in Jesus' time. Some of the last prophets in the Old Testament even talk about that.
Good point.
Yeah, see, people don't go to the Old Testament They think that everything's all here right in the New Testament. Well, it's not all right there in the New Testament. There's a good portion of it sitting there. But you have to look at the comparison between the different scenarios of the different prophets, the metaphors that were used at one point in time by one prophet, to the metaphors used by another prophet, to the metaphors used by another prophet. Then you can make up the determination of what is really being said. You just can't go to one prophet and say, I know everything about this right there, because you don't understand the conversion of the metaphors. And that's the problem with people. They just want things turned over to them right away without studying the thing.
I don't know if you know, I was a Jehovah's Witness for years as well, and they did teach me the Bible. And what you say is true. People do not want to work for it. I don't think it's an accident. I'm here. I fucking work for it with you guys, you know? So how to disperse this information? We have to use the Bible in layman's terms.
And we have to know that everything out here in this country is done by treaty. H.R. 192 basically was a blanket permission for the president to issue individual treaties to the people. See, a treaty has to be authorized by Congress. On the part of the United States, treaties are made by the president, by and with the consent of the Senate, provided 2/3 of the senators concur. So H.R. 192 was a blanket treaty allowing the president to make individual treaties with the people, and that's what that certificate of live birth is, an individual treaty between you and the United States. The same thing goes along with the Selective Service. That was brought about under Eisenhower. The church has been operating this way for a long time with the damn baptism. You're going to the temple just like Jesus and presenting your inheritance into the temple. Your frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Because you can't use them. I put up that document about treaties defined, international law. You go down to treaties are divided into personal or real. The personal relate exclusively to persons of the contracting parties, such as family alliances and treaties guaranteeing the throne to a particular sovereign and his family. You go to the Our Father, and basically it says, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done. Your kingdom. So you have a throne in your kingdom. You are the sovereign of your kingdom. They know the damn law. You don't. You think that that means a monarchy. It doesn't. And then it goes on further under that personal treaty, as they relate to the persons, they expire, of course, on the death of the sovereign or the extinction of the family. Big item. What have the churches and a lot of these other outfits out here have been doing? They have been extincting the family. By abortion, by
divorce,
sterilization of the women so that they don't have any kids. You're extincting that family lineage right there. The church has been doing this to the Indian reservations, both here in the United States and in Canada and a lot of other Aborigine countries for years to the young women. When the family line dies, then it stays in the power of the money changers.
Right.
But your grantee was born dead. He was a stillbirth. He was never alive.
You said the grantee, right?
The grantee, yes.
Yeah.
And see, that's one of the key things that basically once it's been transferred to the grantee, unless you get rid of the grantee, it can't come back to the grantor. The grantor can storm and scream and everything else all he wants. But it ain't coming back to him because it's still being held by that damn grantee that's dead. He was born dead. He was stillbirth.
Until you.
Why do they call out in the Bible? By two you shall be known, by the living and by the dead. The living is the grantor, the dead is the grantee. The dead grantee is a perpetrator, one who perpetrates a principle in the first degree. That is the person who actually commits the criminal act, as distinguished from one who aids or abets in its commission.
You said the grantor is a perpetrator, right?
Grantee is the perpetrator.
Okay, I'm just getting it right. Okay.
Another key word out here is twisting. Okay? The efforts of an agent representing an insurance company to introduce a person to drop insurance already held by him in some other insurance company and take out insurance in the company represented by the agent, especially were characterized by misrepresentations. Now, think about that. You have a treaty. Your inheritance is deposited in that treaty. your assurances. That is your insurance policy to pay your bills if needed. What does the state do? They're a completely different insurance company. They turn around and get you to take out another insurance policy for driver's license, for your vehicle. You don't need it. They're operating under misrepresentation. They're twisting the facts of insurance, and that's insurance fraud, in my opinion. If people would just wake up and start getting together on this damn thing, we might be able to get somebody off dead center out here.
See, grandfather said all insurance was fraud.
Yes, okay. We acknowledge that. Is what I'm trying to get to the point here is that basically people out here need to start getting out there and putting this stuff out there. Don't sit around and wait for one person to try and get it. Because the courts will sit there and drag out this one person.
Right.
Okay?
My question was, what's going on with
25, 30, 40, 50 people all across the country start hitting these damn guys, we may break through. Once you get the breakthrough started, then the rest of the thing comes tumbling down. You have something more to build upon. But if everybody's sitting out there on their damn ass waiting for me to get all this shit done for them, they ain't helping the damn cause one bit.
It just takes the knowledge and confidence. It takes the courage and bravery.
It does not. It takes guts to get out there and do some of this shit.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so then just do it. I've given you the damn answers. Do it.
Yeah, we have to take action.
How long does it sit down to take and read these damn definitions? To read what I'm saying in some of these letters. Get them out there.
Okay.
They may not be totally perfect, but basically you're doing something. But to sit around, well, I'm going to wait until basically I have a full understanding, that is a crock of bullshit.
Thank you. I think I'm ready.
Okay, then get out there and do it.
I will.
Now, how about the rest of you people?
Yes.
You go into court. You never consent to anything.
Oh.
Okay? Because it's what they want out of you. They're the ones that are obligated. Okay? A treaty is declared to be the supreme law of the land and is therefore obligatory on courts. You have a treaty in hand with that certificate of live birth to pay all your bills, unless you have committed a crime of harm. Then you're going to have to pay until you get your act straightened out. But otherwise, it's all about insurance. And the courts are nothing but insurance administrators under treaty law. And they're obligated to take the item from that treaty and make the payment if you do not consent. You tell them, take it out of the treaty. Take it out of the insurance policy. You never consent to them in that regard. You consent or you remain silent, and remaining silent is basically accepting.
It's consent.
Silence. Refraining from speech. The absence of speech. Not a concealment or representation in itself. Okay? Fraud. Mere silence, as a general rule, does not amount to an assent, but taking it together with other circumstances, there are many cases in which silence or acquiescence will warrant a conclusive presumption that the assent has been given. Silence operates as a waiver only when there is an obligation to speak. When the court turns to you and puts you into an obligation to speak, you had better speak and say, I do not consent. Take it out of my treaty. Take it out of my insurance policy. Whatever you want to say. My governmental insurance policy. That's what the hell the damn thing was there for. And see, all of these treaties and policies, driver's license and everything else, were tact. T-A-C-I-T. Silent or implied insurance policies. I always thought that a treaty had to be a written contract, but it isn't. And then in Valentine's, it's the only dictionary that I could find that basically refers to a treaty as being a contract of reinsurance. Reassurance. Okay, not reinsurance, but reassurance. Restoration of confidence. Also, see reinsurance. They're basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. And see, you have placed your assurances on deposit with the nation, your inheritance, or your assurances. And you were supposed to have confidence that they would be there when you needed them. In reassurance, on the definition that's up there. Okay? That basically a contract. Where now is it?
By one party.
Okay. A term inclusive in its broad sense of a contract between two insurers, by which one assumes the risk of the other and becomes substituted to its contract, so that on an assent, okay, a consent of the original policyholder is you. The liability of the first insurer ceases and the second is substituted. The second insurer is you, your back pocket, because you are a private self-insurer. You're not an insurance company, but you are a self-insurer, because you can basically go out and labor your ass off to pay the damn stinking fraudulent bill. And that's what they want, is to get you to be the substitute, letting them off the hook. But the problem is, it wasn't their damn money to begin with. It was yours. But when you let them off the hook, then basically, like all insurance adjusters out here, if they are able to drive the price down that they have to pay out, they get a kickback. There's people on this call and basically on in the group site there that have been insurance salesmen before. They know this about the insurance fraud. And that's all it is. The whole stinking insurance is fraud. It's a usury of your assets being held out of circulation. That's what a savings account is. It's your assets being held out of circulation for their benefit, not for yours. You can make a hell of a lot more money on that stuff you have in the damn savings account by putting it out into operation than you can letting it sit around in some stinking bank, not doing a damn thing for you, but doing everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think the bankers and all the insurance companies keep building new buildings and everything? Putting their money into different endeavors, buying up things. Gaining more and more power over you. Buying off the courts, the judges, the representatives, the senators, all the people in government. They're all bought and paid for. And they don't even realize it.
They're chained in the ancient prison house of false glamour, and then they're caught up.
And basically one of the other things, on silence, okay? Just a second, let me pull up this. Silence operates both ways as a waiver when there is an obligation to speak. Therefore, it will stand that this court assents and is in breach of treaty obligations, the supreme law of the land, to me after my 24-hour request. See, that court, if it remains silent, basically is consenting to your stuff being true. That's what you have to hold them, their feet to the fire. That basically, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Mm-hmm. So we should add that to this.
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Those judges, ever since 1938, have not really been true judges in 90% of all the court cases. They're just assurance adjusters. And see, that's what was going on in the temple back in Jesus' time. How many times did he go to the temple? How many times have I been putting stuff into the temple? Teaching them in the temple. Having responses come back from the people in the temple, impressed with what the hell I've been putting into them. Doing the same thing that Jesus did. See, people don't see this, okay? But I'm mimicking everything that basically he was doing. In all my endeavors. Hey, you can walk. That's what you're supposed to do, is walk in his path. You start opening up the eyes of the court and basically letting them know that you know that they're in violation of the law. Don't listen to Paul in the Bible.
Ooh.
Okay? Paul was a Roman.
He was a liar.
Okay? The Romans basically used clay idols. Go and watch the movie Gladiator. They all had little clay figurines. You listen and do a comparison between the apostles and then what Paul, and Paul has more stuff in the Bible. Why? There are other apostles that aren't in the Bible.
Because he was a Roman.
Why? Ask the question, why? Because basically the church loved what Paul was saying because Paul was deceiving the people, trying to get them into that baptismal scenario of signing away their damn assets over to the treasury, to the church treasury, to the temple.
Oh my God, you're the second person that I've ever heard say this.
Well, it wasn't until I started listening to the audios from Mark and Luke and Matthew, and then going and listening to Paul, like on the Hebrews, and I said, wait a minute, there's contradictions here.
All kind of contradictions. All kind.
Yes. But see, the church has put Paul on a pedestal far superior to all the damn apostles, because the apostles were not necessarily apostles. They were Jesus writing all that stuff. The man. He was just using different pseudonyms. The man they called Jesus was the educated one. So he was the one that was writing all of those ones that they called the apostles. Mark, Luke, Matthew, and all them. The 12 persons of man. Because that is the number of man, is 12. Then with the Spirit, it becomes 13. A prime number. One that cannot be divided by any other number except one in itself. So it's a prime number. Prime numbers are the key and the harmonics of the universe. If you want to learn a little bit about prime numbers, you can go watch the Good Thief with Nick Nolte. He was always betting on prime numbers, and then basically he switched over and started betting on non-prime numbers. And he basically broke the damn casino. But there was a lot of other stuff going on there, too. But it's just something that, little tidbits that are out there in some of these movies that you have to see. We know it's the court. The courts have the obligation per the treaties. We know it's a treaty that's out here because everything is operated by treaties here in this country, especially when it's between a government and the individual people. We are within the United States of America. You never use without. When you operate within or with, you retain your rights. You are with your rights, or you are within your rights. But when you use without, you lose your rights. So all these people that have been operating with without recourse have been dead wrong. You have just lost your rights. You always operate with recourse. And that basically will close the item down. Settle it right then and there. Because you're coming in with your rights. The guy did a good job in that document for the first 3 or 4 pages there that he had in that 1871 document. He made it perfectly clear. And then you write on there, with prejudiced, what did I say? With prejudice, I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. That is the correct item that you would put on there to prove and protect your rights. And take off the reinsurance company and put self-reinsurance company and put self-reinsurer seal.
Oh, okay. And we can still use our tribunal seal for that?
You can use any fucking seal you want to, okay?
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, just wanted to ask.
It does make a damn better difference. It's your seal, okay? You can have a damn Tony the Tiger seal if you want.
Now, on the policies on the Vicar Generals, no, I guess the ID and the driver's license, there's two numbers, and the first one would be the Social Security number because it is tied to the driver's license, right?
The Social Security is an individual policy. A driver's license is an individual policy, okay?
But you have two numbers identifying the driver's license here.
No, you have one. The driver's license.
Okay.
That Social Security number does not belong to the state.
Okay.
The driver's license number is an insurance policy that belongs to the state. That is that fraudulent insurance company that's coming in and trying to get you to back away from using your treaty insurance policy, and they're trying to sell you another insurance policy.
So you have two blanks in there before the ID. And okay.
You put the state name in there.
Ah, dummy. Okay, got it.
What did I say right above that? United States and then state.
Hey. Right.
So we know that the Social Security is for the United States, and then all other licenses are for the state. Well, you've got to tell what state you're in.
Right. Solves the problem I was having.
Your marriage license is a state insurance policy. Does the federal government come after you for back child support? No. It's the state courts. It's the state insurance courts that are coming after you, trying to get you to become the secondary person of settlement. When the damn insurance policy, the marriage insurance policy, should be settling the damn item and paying the child support because they're a third-party member. An insurance company is always a third-party member in a triangular policy.
Mm-hmm.
In a dual policy, they're always the prime payer. They're the obligatory. We've got to stop letting them off the hook. We took out the damn insurance policy that they wanted to sell us. Now, basically, hold their feet to the fire and make them pay the damn insurance. New car. You wrecked the damn car. Basically, the funds are supposed to be there to buy the new car from the insurance policy. From that certificate of title to the vehicle.
Something that's bothering me, I know that this is what they have to have to move out of this fiat currency system. And, I mean, because of being political, I'm not apolitical because I've not been active long, but I understand the problem that they have. So is the disagreement with the Catholic Church? I mean, because they know full well
the Catholic Church. It's with the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, everybody. It's the Church of Rome.
Thank you.
All religious churches lead back to Rome. All roads lead to Rome.
They're all franchises.
So all religions derive their starting point from Rome. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses. Where did they get their starting point? From the damn Bible that was written out of Rome.
Yeah.
That's simple.
You know, I just know that the government has to be happy that you're sending this stuff because, I mean, there are people in the system itself that want out, and they know not how to get there. I mean, God knows, Jesus said it.
A lot of those people can't get out of the system. They have taken an oath. And they have to try everything that they can do to deprive you of you coming out of the system. They have to make it as hard as possible on you.
My term runs out in January 1st, and I am so glad when this is over, I'm done with political.
What?
I'm an elected official.
You can resign.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait till tomorrow or till the first of the year. Resign now. When you know something is fraud, you shake the sand off your sandals and get the hell out. You give them a termination notice and say, here, this is why I'm getting out. It's because you're operating in fraud.
And announce it publicly.
Well, you know, I have been writing nationally, and really I actually bored the Democratic Party a new asshole and asked them to use it, and it would make perfect sense because I thought if I wrote now while I'm an official, they can't say she's a liar or because I reveal quite a bit of shit from the inside, and yet what you're saying is perfect now because actually I've said enough and I'm actually done because I thought if I quit before I said anything about some of the things I wanted to talk about, that I would not be believed and that I would be less effective in spreading some information. But thank you. I think I will now. I will.
Well, I have sent stuff out to ARP, okay? American Free Press, okay? And that's a piece of fucking rag, okay?
Absolutely.
Because I have sent stuff in there, and they have never called me one time on any of the stuff. And I mean, basically, there is stuff there that they cannot refute. But they will not use it. They will put every other fraudulent item out there about, well, this whistleblower is doing this, and this whistleblower is doing that, and basically, then you turn around and find out what the hell that damn whistleblower, they're an insider that is basically out there just to deceive the people even further.
Sir, believe me, I thought you guys might even be the U.S. military putting out false information because grandfather told me a long time ago about this shit, you know? And it is insane the circles that they'll go to and through and twist to keep this manipulation of information. And I apologize. Duly, I apologize.
No, that's all fine and good because basically I was deceived by some of these so-called what I thought were good guys out here, only to find out that basically they didn't know their shit at all. I mean, all these guys that were out here running around with without recourse, using that, doing acceptance when we should never be consenting to anything. We turn around and put it back upon them. All the stuff about trust. There is, and I've said this for years, there is no trust in this country. This is the most untrustworthy country in the world. Bunch of backstabbers and, well, you name it. Really want to use some vile language, but I'll refrain.
Well, I can only say my grandfather would be so pleased to have known or to hear such things as this in this day.
Well, see, my grandfather on my mother's side was totally screwed up because he said, well, you've got to have insurance. Got to have insurance. So my mom's mind is, well, I can't go against my dad because he said we needed to have insurance. So you got to have insurance. So my mom's all over me. Hey, go and get your Social Security insurance. Go get this. Well, I try and explain to her. I say, you don't know how that damn Social Security insurance is operating. They're writing more bonds. They're putting the country further and further in debt every day. I just want my assets back. I will take control. I will put the assets into operation the way they're supposed to be. Right now, they're in idleness. And see, that's idol worship. When you put money on deposit, it is idle.
Oh, man.
So that is idol worshiping when you have a savings account or you have all this stuff sitting around not being in operation. Love thy neighbor as thyself. You put your stuff in circulation, you will love your neighbor. Because now you are holding down inflation.
Correct. One of the things, it might have been Thomas I was talking to, or another man that called me that had been on the call, somebody from Texas I was talking to. They have beat me down till I'm separated, living on Social Security. I get $94 in food stamps. I live on like $700 a month. And I've got a small apartment, but I'm living minimally, but I'm very, very happy. And I think a part of my fear is that, and I even asked the, Social Security doctor I go to, can they take that? Because, I think they're going to try to shut me down, because every time they think they have taken any kind of money or effective way for me to make money, to put money into media or somehow to tell or talk outwardly, they have taken me down to this point of poverty where I'm standing in the food pantry line. So, I have to get out of the Social Security insurance as well as resign.
Terminate all of those damn policies and cash them out. It's nothing but a whole life insurance policy.
Yeah. Well, I've heard
That's
some of the previous calls. I've heard your calls from about a year ago. Some of them, like I said, I've been back listening to other things, and I do recall quite a bit collapsing.
Yeah. What you're getting in Social Security is a pittance of what is really there.
Yeah, your driver's license. Basically, that driver's license, even though you may not have renewed the license, is still out there.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Well, they call it an ID card, and they still use the same number that you had on your driver's license.
Yeah, it's still, but it's just an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay? Using for either ID or driver's license, and it's for the corporate figure. Okay? For the grantee. It's not for you, the living. Think about it. That picture was taken a year or two ago. You've changed. You're living. That's a dead picture. So that's a picture for the dead. It's not a picture for the living. Basically, the tribes in Africa and also in South America, they would not let pictures be taken of them because it was capturing their spirit and taking it away from them. It was creating a dead entity. That's what they believed, and they knew it. And see, that has been out there for thousands of years. They didn't have the Bible to read or anything like that, but they passed it down through their family lineages when they came out of Egypt.
Just in a general question, in a timeline, once I start this resignation and removing all the others, the Social Security, all of the others, how quickly will I see them respond with?
It may be a long time, okay?
Yeah.
That's why you have to keep upon them. Basically, make it so that, I mean, I stamp more shit out than you could shake a stick at, okay? Yeah. These courts know me, and see, that's what I'm saying. I have been sitting in the courts. They're teaching them in the courts the law, just like Jesus did. That's what that one chief judge came back and said, hey, this man knows what he wants.
Exactly. Yeah, I told one of my county chairs that I was going into the law, and he said, you don't want to do that. And I thought to myself, you damn right I don't want to do that. You don't want me to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want you informed. You know, I certainly do not let people know what I know. You know, I can't.
Yeah, and you'll find out that some of those damn chairs that are over and above you basically are nothing but Masons in the damn process.
Oh, man, that's how they won this election. I called it, they said Operation Herring, like Rush Limbaugh. That's fucking Operation Mason Jar. Them motherfucking Masons in them lodges, that's how they tripped that primary. And, boy, did you see that one get snuffed. That story got snuffed. And one of my very strongest proponents even said, don't mess with the Masons, Gina Brown. Don't do that. I said, I'm not afraid to call out anybody, and I will.
Yeah, and see, the Scottish Freemasons, who are they controlled by?
It goes back to the church.
It goes back to the Church of Rome.
Yeah,
because Albert Pike went over and basically met with the Pope and basically came up with the scenario of what they were going to do when he came back over here, and he was the one that really set up, was the prime founder of the Scottish Freemasons, this rogue outfit.
Yeah.
Okay? Not the true Masons, the Knights Templars out there, but this rogue outfit. And they were also the Ku Klux Klan and everything else.
You're fucking right. This is Georgia, and let me tell you, with Michelle Nunn and that conservative bunch and pulling all the bullshit they pulled, you know, they had a black Mason running in the primary who the only whites that voted for black was that one. We had 5 black women on the slate, you know, but they didn't vote in this. And when I'm going to tell you the truth, I was on the executive committee call as a debrief, and there was so much arguing, I just thought my job here is done, because they were starting to really pull out some of the nasty truth behind this election, the way it was rigged, of course. But what amazed me is the amount of people on that call that still hadn't quite put it all together, that it's this fucking illusion. It's a two-party illusion. And this illusion is ran through the Masons. I mean, the whole system of the elections is ran through the Masonic lodges.
Yeah, and the money changers, okay?
Yep.
They're all tied in together.
And that's why in the midterms you have a high white turnout and very low black turnout. They suppressed the vote. They even called out Mayor Kasim Reed for sending out to black voters to suppress the vote. I had a man here in Brunswick was showing me what they were to put on the blacks at their churches, and It was very confusing. But these are, and someone was on the call was like, well, you wouldn't think Democrats would do that to Democrats. Well, dumb bitch. I mean, they're not fucking really Democrats.
Everybody wants to be a Democrat or a Republican. They don't realize that they're all dead parties.
Yeah, they're all dead. Useless. Yeah. And Jeremiah said it's not for man to govern his own stead. Well, what the hell?
Right. You're supposed to be free in this country, and that free means that you're not under their laws. And see, that's where when you get without the United States, you have separated yourself from the land. You're now in the land of fiction. You're in the land of Oz. You are without your rights. And see, that's what they want you to be, is without your rights as a citizen of the United States. You are a fictionary citizen. And see, what does the Bible say? By two you shall be known, by the living and by the dead. You've got to get rid of the dead.
Where in the Bible is that found?
I don't know. You can do a word search and basically go by two or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, if you got a PDF of the Bible or different things, type in by two.
Yeah.
Do a word search, okay? See, that's what the computer is for, okay?
Yeah,
the computer is there to expedite the knowledge flow to us.
Yep.
But people don't use it as that, okay? They use it to play games and everything else.
Well, they're highly propagandized to not engage in any inward spiritual, in any work that is inward. It's all gauged
in the book of Revelation, it said the knowledge will come at a very fast pace. Well, the knowledge is coming at a very fast pace if you know how to use the computer.
Got that right.
Because you can go and find out anything around the world. Books are all out there. You go in the torrent engine and you can download just about every book that has ever been written.
And poor Santo has all those books in front of him. I've downloaded them because I would stop and go research and see if that was true. And now I'm reading some of the books. The fucking information is there for anybody.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, you don't have to read the whole book.
No.
Basically, that's what a foreword and the afterwords in the books are for. And basically, in some cases, I could read the title and know exactly what's in that book.
Yeah.
Just from the title. Because basically, everything is plagiarized, rewritten, just in a different format.
And then when
you understand the basic book, you will understand all these other books. They're telling the same story, just in a different format.
So I must do all of the other things first before I deliver this fax, my right of treaty transfer?
No, you can do that right now.
Okay, then I will.
Just start hammering them. I mean, basically, throw something at them.
Okay.
Make them aware that you're out there. Show them that you've got life in you, okay?
I will. I'm going to fax
That's
this
the problem. Is 90%
tomorrow.
of the people that are in this damn group site, they have no life. They're dead.
Well, I want to tell you something. I told my children, I've already birthed you. It says as long as I continue in hope, faith, and modesty, I'm all right. And so I can truly, at 56, do anything I fucking want to do. And they're like, Mom, why don't you go to Family Dollar and just get a little job? I don't want that. You know what? I play the violin and guitar. I might just go sing at the pier. And I've been getting paid in cash the last few times I've been consulting because I've been thinking about this shit all along, you know, and go ahead and closing those bank accounts and getting rid of all this because it is a leap of faith. But every time I've ever taken a leap of faith, I have been given so much more.
Well, you can close down the savings accounts. You can keep and basically turn it over into a non-interest-bearing checking account, okay?
Right.
Okay.
That way you've got a means to cash your checks if you need to, okay?
Do I still let the Social Security check go there?
If you're getting it, let it keep coming, okay? You're getting underpaid, but basically, see, you don't even know how much Social Security you're really getting.
Yeah, correct.
You're getting $700 or so, you said?
Yes, sir.
Divide that by
720.
18. Okay? When you divide that by 18, that is how many dollars you're getting in 1960 money. And see, that is real money. In 1960, it was roughly one Federal Reserve dollar equaled one silver dollar.
Well, that's true because we remember the dimes, the silver dimes, and the quarters. Grandfather used to talk about the money.
Besides that, McDonald's hamburger cost 15 cents back then. McDonald's hamburger still costs 15 cents. You do a correlation of it for 15 cents into the 18-to-1 conversion ratio, and yeah, you're paying $4 in Federal Reserve dollars now for it, but it's still roughly about 15 cents or thereabouts. Gas sitting at $3
Okay,
a gallon.
Quick question.
Okay, that
Quick
is
question.
roughly 7 cents a dollar. So that's roughly 21 cents a gallon in 1960 money. The commodities have not changed. Is what they did is they screwed you out of your labor. They have taken your real asset and given you and put you on slave labor wages.
Yeah.
Taxes, okay?
Yeah. It's like my daughter said.
Okay, no, listen to me, okay?
Yes,
I don't want to hear about your grandfather anymore, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Your labor, back in 1960, I was making $2.25. Today, that would be roughly almost $40 an hour in Federal Reserve dollars. So if you're making $10 an hour out there in labor, you're making under one silver dollar in 1960 value. Your labor has gone down. You're operating in slave labor wages now. And you sit around and you think that the Mexicans and everything else are basically screwing over this country. No, it's the people in this country that are screwing over this country. Because they're not standing up. What's the minimum wage? $7 now? Is that $7 in modern Federal Reserve dollars, or is that $7 in 1960 dollars? If it's $7 in 1960, and where does taxes start? Okay? When you go above the minimum wage, thereabouts. So if you're making less than minimum wage, you owe no taxes. At $7 an hour times 18, you should be making well over $100 an hour in present Federal Reserve dollars. At that point in time, I'd have no problem in paying taxes. But we ain't getting that. We're not getting justice in this country, and justice is just exchangement for our labor. How many parables did Jesus talk about the payment of labor? The just wages and everything. It was going on back in his time, too. The money changers had infiltrated it. Moses, in his time, what did the pharaohs do? They took the straw away from the Hebrews, but they still demanded that they continue to make the same amount of bricks. But they were not given their labor payment. I mean, see, the story is reiterated time after time after time, the same scenario.
Well, they call it austerity, and it's a depression. And
It's theft.
No, the depression and stuff like that is basically when the bankers turn around and they pull the money supply out of circulation.
mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's how they controlled the people to basically get into this insurance fraud that they're operating under right now. See, it's the insurance. The insurance did not come into this country until 1887, and it really didn't take effect in this country until in the 1920s and 30s. Okay? That's when the big insurance push really came into play. That's where the bankers really make their money. They don't make their money on exchangement of one item for another. Okay? They make their money on the insurance, getting you to place your money in idol worship, in idleness, for their benefit.
Quick
then
question
they turn
on
around and write bonds against that under false bondage, when the assets are there to pay the bills up front.
Right. So I'm at a credit union. I have to have a savings account to open a checking. So I just need to close that account and just open a
You
non-bearing
want
checking.
at a bank, okay?
A regular
Get out of
bank.
that credit union, okay?
I got you. Yeah, tomorrow. I'm going to be a dutiful daughter.
Gina asked a good question, Patrick, about your latest My Right of Treaty transfers. Seems to be very complete all in itself with this treaties. And that could be sent in alone. But if we send in your previous dissolution package, that does have the effect of hammering on them. Right?
Yeah, you can add it back into it, rewrite it, and basically send that along too.
Yeah, I'll get it done next week when I get that back from out of town. Just resend it again.
So I'm going to send all of that stuff.
And basically we have to get rid, and we have to declare that damn grantee is dead.
Yeah.
And that basically now it has to be a reversion back to us as the grantor.
Okay, so we do need the dissolution.
Yeah, I was slightly off a little on that, trying to get rid of both the grantee and the grantor in the process.
So we only get rid of the grantee and not the grantor and the president?
You get rid of the dead fucker, okay?
Okay.
The grantee is not the dead fucker. The grantor is not the dead fucker. The grantee is, okay?
Yes.
The Isaac or whatever the hell, the one that had all the fur on his arm. The false, perpetrating a fraud upon the creditor, you, the living.
So all we need is to have the grantee voluntarily return.
I don't know what all you have to do, Tom. You just have to get out there and try and hammer these guys.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Got it.
Trial and error. That's the only thing I can say. They have it so damn convoluted that basically it's a nightmare.
It's almost a scientific experiment.
I think they've known this time is coming, and they are dreading it. It even says the weeping and gnashing of teeth. They're dreading it, but they know it's coming.
Yeah, well, see, they won't even take me into court anymore.
I don't blame them. They threw me in contempt and in jail for 10 days last time I was in
But
court.
I'm going to turn around and I'm going to take all those damn licenses and I'm going to put another one into the state court and order of termination of all those with the state courts. Let them know that I know that this is fraud, and it's insurance fraud. See, we don't need all of those other insurance, those state insurances. The states cannot write treaties, okay? So they got around that by writing these insurance policies. In a way, they're a mini treaty with the people.
So,
but they're hidden in the form of insurance.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's all fraud. The whole scam is the money changers' fraudulent system of dead idol worship. They're worshiping your grantee. Because he's holding your assets from you. And the people don't even see this. That they're out here doing idol worships, which is totally condemned in the Bible. The clay figurines. Any other questions by anybody else out there? Comments? Speak up.
It's just my heart hurts now. I worked so hard for this healthcare labor and organizing, and it dawned on me.
I don't want to talk to you anymore about this, okay? Is there anybody else out there that wants to talk about what I'm talking about?
Come on, people. Speak up. Guess not, Patrick.
How's it going, Patrick?
No comments from anybody else?
Hello?
You all know every fucking thing that's out here. You don't have any fucking questions whatsoever. You know it all. Okay, then ask the damn thing.
Oh.
Yes, Drew?
So, if there's this, now this deals with the whole math and language, okay? What we can prove, right, is 1 + 1 = 2. Well, then where's the math interface to the language? Because as long as they can keep changing the future and the past, the present, and so all we talk about is Babel, then how do we expect any of these filings could make any sense to them?
When you start understanding the words, okay, and that's what I've been trying to put out here, is keyword definitions. I'm not giving you the whole damn dictionary. I'm pulling out keywords that need to be utilized to get an understanding of what's going on. You can go into all the different dictionaries, but that's what you were told to do with the Bible. You have to know the word. Until you know the word, you can't use the word. And see, that's what too many people were using the wrong word of without when they didn't fully understand what without meant.
Yeah, that's a serious mistake.
No, it was a deception upon the infiltrators into the damn patriot community out here to get everybody going in the wrong direction.
Right.
How many people have you heard out here that basically, well, I'm an ex-33rd degree Mason or 32nd degree Mason or whatever? Right there, I wouldn't trust half of them. Okay?
Chills.
You just don't change your coat overnight.
Right.
The question the man just made about them understanding in the documents that you've put forth, you did have your deciphering keys on there.
I did have what?
The deciphering keys.
Yeah, basically, see, that's what you give them your codes, your words of understanding that you're using there. Now they can't change those words. They have it right in front of them that this is what the word usage that you're using. Because, like I said before, you go into the dictionaries and there may be 2, 3, 4 different meanings for the word. You've got to tell them which definition you're using. Because otherwise, they will interpretate it the wrong way.
And there's nothing to prevent someone from putting their own definitions in there and letting them know what they are.
There's what?
There's nothing to prevent anyone from putting their own definitions in there and letting them know their meanings as
right.
they see it.
Yeah, that's what my understanding. And then you say down below that this is my truth under the penalty of perjury. This is my truth and understanding, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, well, so long as there's an opinion on whose truth is what, you know, it can never be proven.
Your truth is always your truth. Your truth is always your truth. It's not.
You're the living. You're the living. Okay? You're not the dead. They're the dead. They're the servant. You're the master.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be the master anyway.
Yeah, that the guy David Wynn Miller does. You know, he may.
That friggin' idiot is a damn traitor to the whole damn humanity.
Well, there's so many different opinions out there. All I'm saying is the guy has a point with the math, with the language. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And I think that if we can, you know, at least prove 1 + 1 and tie that to language, then we should eventually decode the matrix. The matrix is math. So long as you have these opinions, oh, that's nice. You got an opinion. All right, so does somebody else. Then it's back to might is right. And how's that going to...
No, I'm not saying mine is right, okay? Let's get that perfectly clear. And I'm not charging anything for my stuff. All of David Wynn Miller's shit is copyrighted. Okay? You've got to pay him for the usage of his material. People have gone to jail because they infringed upon his copyright. They didn't have copyright permission to use his material, and they ended up going to jail. They won their case, but they ended up going to jail because of copyright infringement. And David Wynn Miller even tells that damn story that, well, that was a win for us, but yet the guy still ended up going to jail.
Doesn't he charge $3,000 to even talk to him?
In a lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah.
Winston Stroud or whatever the hell his damn name is, he's never done hardly anything that he's ever said.
Right.
At least I put all the shit that I put out there in. I've even told you what the damn certified mailing numbers are. You can go and check it out and see whether it was delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that if we can prove 1 + 1 = 2, then we should be able to make our document solid without opinion. Because they could take any of our writings and say, oh, you know, it's in the past or the future, it's all over the place. And as long as it's in the past, then it's dead. So, I mean, it's like, you know, how do you be honorable to at least someone's claim? You take away all the opinion. And so, I mean, whether it's copyright or not, I mean, that's, how do you copyright math? You know, so, I mean, there's...
You can't prove 1 and 1 is 2 until you know the words. Because I can prove that it's not 2 by knowing the words.
Right.
Okay?
David Wood Miller's a joke.
I don't think it's necessary to even think on these other things if you're looking at the truth of the word as it's written and taking it from that point of reference, not from man or anything else, but strictly looking at it from that, which is what it appears to me that Patrick is attempting to do here, and laying it out, you know, so everyone can see it step by step how he's doing this. And if you can just get into the word and study it, like you said, and match up the word's definitions that he's laid out, and then also my suggestion is look at the Hebrew words because they bring out a lot of other meanings and expound on that. You can follow along and then make the decision for yourself. Add to, like you said, what you want to add to out of your own experience and truth, and make, you know, those appropriate changes to fit that. If you're following this template he has, and then inputting your own, it's going to make it real and more truthful to you anyway.
Now, however you want to do it, okay? Mine is not gospel, okay? Mine is not cut in stone. There's some flexibility there, okay? It can be modified. But you had better know what you're doing when you modify and go away from this plan, okay? Because I tried to follow the plan that basically was laid out 2,000 years ago. Something similar to it. Now, they put a lot more shit into the game, and that's what we're trying to break down. See, when you turned 21, you were supposed to be under the initial Constitution. And see, that was a treaty with the people, that initial Constitution. In that treaty, basically, if you got into debt, the courts were supposed to turn around and draw from the national treasury because it was we the people's treasury. If they did not, the courts did not, then you turn to the Secretary of the Treasury. And that, I told you, is in the Statutes at Large, Volume 1, out there. I posted that document up there, stating that. Now, what they did later on here, under H.R. 192, they turned around and they took some of the assets out of that national treasury and put them over into individual treaties with the individual people under the Certificate of Live Birth. So that basically your debts would be paid out of that assurance policy, treaty policy or treaty, just assurance treaty. Now the problem is this thing has been going on for almost 70, 80 years, and a lot of these damn stinking judges, they have no idea. They've never been taught this in their damn colleges. Very few at the senior level of those judges know this shit. Just like the people down below have been dumbed down further and further away from the truth, the judges and everything else in the government system have been dumbed down too. That's what was going on in Jesus' time. The priests and the ministers of the temple were being dumbed down further and further away from the truth by the money changers.
And Patrick, when you're speaking about those treaties, in the word, it does speak to that as far as not to make covenants or treaties with them or their gods. That's in Exodus 23, and I think a couple other places you can see reference to it. And just another side note, back in ancient times, they called them I think it was suzerain treaties.
Right, and that's why you have to transfer that treaty from their control over to your individual estate.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the phrases we should always use in there, by God and country. I should have had that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's by your God of understanding and by the law of the land. So I would always use by God and country in any court scenario. Therefore, it takes it totally out of their commercial, dead, devil worship, idol worship scenario.
Right.
And puts it into the living land and the living God of understanding.
And for cross-reference, Exodus 23:24, 34 and 34:12, and Deuteronomy 7:2.
Okay, you can talk about that on your Skype groups and stuff like that.
Yeah,
is there anybody else out here that has any questions of me on this call tonight? Okay? That's what I'm here for, okay? To try and help you if you have any questions about what I put out there. If you want to do individual research and everything like that, you do that on your own. Or in a group, okay? Get started with the damn groups. That's what I told people before. I just set up this main thing, okay, showing you what I'm doing. Now you take what I'm doing and try and reiterate that, and then if you find something that I have done wrong or something, come back and give me the feedback. That's the way the system was supposed to be working.
Right. Well, you've answered the questions I've had, Patrick.
Anybody else? Okay, call tonight, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I really love this treaty thing. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Good night.